And we're live.
Hello.
Places back home. How you guys doing?
Doing good?
Fantastic. Yeah.
Whoa.
Nice.
Whoa.
Same that was cool.
Jinx, pinch poke, owe me a Coke. Who else?
I don't honor that game.
We're just going to fight afterwards. It's fine.
Well, apparently you guys were having a tiff before you got here over a sandwich,
Yeah,
which is
it's
kind of
true.
funny to me.
I'm okay about it now, but I was mad.
He was.
Well, let's hear the story because I wanted to bring this
You
up, on
actually
there. and then we'll get to the music. I know you guys came here to talk about your music and all that stuff. You have a
Well,
show
first
tonight
and
at the Moxie
foremost,
Theater
Sandwich.
tonight with Wilderness.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
But I really got to hear the sandwich
Okay.
story first.
So
There's
the
two
Mad
sides to every
Cow-
story.
Hold on, shut up. It's my turn. See, we're still angry. The Mad Cow across the street. We go there every time we play a show in Greeley. It's a
Okay.
tradition. We always get the same sandwich. It's delicious, and so
Which one? The Elvis? Is that the
See, here's
It's
the
incredible.
thing. I
peanut
didn't-
butter and
The
bacon?
problem was I didn't know what it was called, and so I came a little early, and I was here with my wife, and so we were gonna grab sandwiches, and I call Robert, and I go, "Hey, what's the name of the sandwich we always get?" And he goes, "Are you seriously gonna get a sandwich without all of us? Are you buying them for all of us?" And I was like, "Yeah, I was planning on just getting one for me and my wife." He's like, "Really?" And so I guess he was joking. I took it very aggressively, and I was angry, and I angrily ordered him a sandwich.
Oh.
I just gave in.
The
So I was-
story ends
Oh,
with
so
we have 4 sandwiches right outside that door.
and only 2 of them were actually wanted.
Yeah.
Bailey, did you get a sandwich out of all this?
I guess.
We're
Colin-
gonna split one.
Yeah.
Bailey,
Okay.
Bailey didn't text me fast enough.
So that's Chris's story, so we can
I
just do
see.
that.
Okay. That's pretty funny.
It's pretty, mostly true.
I didn't know the sandwiches were happening because I mute our group text because it gets crazy.
Over
must.
sandwiches.
Over
Yeah.
sandwiches.
To me?
That's funny, guys.
What?
Well, again,
Mute it. why you
I
don't
am
respond.
here with Places Back Home. Let's just start from the top here. I have Chris, who is
Hello.
lead vocals. I have Colin, who is the bass. Then I have Robert on drums, and then Bailey, who is guitar as well. These guys are great. They're from Fort Collins, Colorado. They were founded 4 years ago, 2015. They have 2 albums out. They have I found them on Spotify. I don't know if you guys can find your music elsewhere.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Everywhere.
Is that the
Spotify,
best?
Amazon,
Napster?
Napster.
No way.
Yeah.
Is Napster still a thing?
To those who
It's-
still use
it's a real
Napster.
thing.
Yeah. I like how
I
Colin
use
says
Napster,
Napster if you're
okay.
cool, and you're the only one that uses it here.
What's the benefit of using Napster?
There is none.
It's
a
honestly a
worse
worse
version of
Spotify.
Spotify.
It's really frustrating.
I'm trying to pull away from it, but here we are.
I feel like it's pretty easy.
That's really
You know, switch.
I'm too far invested.
You've got too much
I got
music
playlists
saved,
on
yeah.
there. I can't.
It's hard. It's
Actually,
hard once
I
you have the
don't know what they're
playlists.
called, but there is like a web service where you can transfer music from platforms. Like it helps
That's
you create
genius.
playlists based on your playlist at what you have now.
Like
I
if
know,
you already
I
paid
know
for it?
works Spotify to Apple Music and back. I don't know
Wow.
about Napster though.
Oh, that's a
That's-
game changer. I'll have to look into
Napster
it.
is like pretty obscure at this point.
That's very nice. That's very nice. Because I was considering moving over to iTunes, Apple Music. And
For
now,
good
now,
things.
now I have less fear.
You know
We're
what
there.
I haven't heard good things about?
What?
Napster.
It's terrible. Don't.
I mean, when it first came out, it was
It was revolutionary.
was
the
cool.
bomb.
It was the thing.
But
Well, like in the 90s.
Yes.
like 98.
Yep.
I think the first
James
song I
Hetfield was
downloaded,
really mad about it.
the first song I downloaded off Napster was Intergalactic by Beastie Boys,
Yeah.
and I was so
Wonderful.
happy with that.
Wonderful.
Planetary
Yeah. That got my
That's awesome.
that got my music listening career started. But again, so you guys have your music is everywhere: Napster, Spotify, iTunes Music, Apple Music.
Sir.
Anchored EP, you put that out in 2016, and then you have Falling Apart, which you put out 2017. I was going to say a year ago, but it's now 2019.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
coming up
Yeah.
on
It
2
was
years.
Terrifying.
2 years.
It's like
But,
a
Year and a half.
probably because that was
Yeah.
released what in
In the
October.
fall.
October.
October
Yeah.
of 2017. So.
Okay. I mean, I've just been digging through it. I've known. Full disclosure to everyone listening out there, I've known Bailey for quite some time. I'm actually very good friends with his brother, so I actually
It's
knew
true.
Bailey when he was just a wee young lad.
Little,
Just a little Bailey.
still
Yep.
not much bigger.
Yeah. But you're older and your
But I'm
voice has
older.
changed.
Yeah,
You have
that's
some
true.
facial hair. But
His voice dropped.
yeah, so I mean, I've been following you guys ever since you were a band. Really, I was really excited to see Bailey be a part of such a cool band, and the music you
Thanks,
guys put
man.
out is
Thank you.
it's impressive. It's very impressive,
Appreciate
and
that.
I like to see that from a local group, Fort Collins. Yeah, it's awesome. So, you guys have this version of music that you refer to as post folk.
Post folk.
Why don't you go ahead and explain to the audience out there what that
I'll do
means?
it.
Yeah.
Alright. So we think we're moving away from it a little bit. But
Okay.
post folk was
It's evolving.
It's evolving.
Yeah.
Yeah. We made it up, so who knows where it's going. Post folk was our idea of, so we grew up with a lot of different musical influences, everything from like hardcore to pop punk to emo to country. Yeah, to everything. But
Wow.
but some hip-hop,
Not to point
But
fingers.
we all, the way we write our songs is very folk based as far as I think for a long time structure I think lyrically and thematic wise it's still very folky, concepts of coming home and just really familiar things to the audience, and so we were like, we don't sound like a folk band, but what are we? And so we came up with post folk.
Well, where did the post come from as well, though?
After, I believe post means
No.
after.
Okay. Well, so
The
so
real
also what we
explanation for post is
yeah, so that's where like the folk half comes from, and the other half, the post half, is we're also like we love and really kind of tailor our sound in some regards around post rock. We bring them up all the time, and it's almost ridiculous at this point, but we love the band Manchester Orchestra, and
This will
like
destroy you.
yeah, this will destroy you, and like there's
Mogwai.
yeah, and like in those like that kind of genre of band where it's very like this orchestral, like big ambient, like one big sound kind of
Very dynamic.
right. Yeah, exactly. And so and we love doing that too, and so obviously with that we write that into our music a lot. So it was kind of like this like folk influence, but with also like this post rock influence, and we were really clever, and
Just combine them.
yeah.
It's like a celebrity name for genres.
Yeah.
If we're gonna boil it down to one thing, post folk is just lots of reverb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On everything.
We don't. It's actually one of the best descriptions I ever heard. Even though we don't have a banjo anymore, was it's putting a banjo through like effects pedals.
Yeah, which we did.
Yeah.
For a
Tight.
long time.
Yeah.
That's super
Good
cool.
stuff.
So where does the inspiration come behind like your writing? Like who's in charge of writing? Do you guys all go in writing together, or does one of you
I mean,
take lead on this?
Chris kind of like he writes all the lyrics for the most part. Sometimes we offer a little bit of input. These guys more so than I do, but he'll kind of come with like a bare bones idea of something, usually, or we'll all bring something and we'll end up writing on it. But we do really have a group writing process, I guess. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's
I would say we build off of. So I typically come to the band with kind of like a bare bones skeleton of a song, and then we put the meat on it together. So
Yeah, every
Yeah.
once in a while we'll just get a MP3 from Chris of him and an acoustic guitar, and then we'll just play around with
yeah,
it and
that's
then
typically how it works.
bring it to practice the next week. And
But even
jam
like
on it.
it's also sometimes as simple as like Bailey just made up a cool riff on his guitar,
sometimes
and
starts
then
that way.
he plays it, and Chris is like, oh, that's cool. Let me try this thing, and
Yeah.
next thing you know, we have a chorus.
Oftentimes we wish that we had a quicker songwriting process because ours is very slow and painful.
Does
Like
anybody
pulling
have
teeth
a?
sometimes.
I don't know.
Have a
Some
quick-
bands crank out tunes.
I don't know how bands do that, but
Our
Yeah.
our
It's not
songs
us.
our songs take probably like a couple months to really.
Chris puts a lot of meaning into lyrics too, which
I like sad songs.
yeah,
Yeah.
Chris
The emo coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's not to say though. Like we're playing a new song tonight.
Yeah. Be
This
there.
basically tonight only because
Yeah.
it's
it's a
we'll-
test
we'll
run.
get there. Yeah, it's a test run of a new song, and that one came together probably in like
2 weeks.
3 weeks,
3 weeks.
maybe at most. Like from Chris's like beginning stages to like we have a finished song, and we recorded a demo recently.
So if you want to hear it, you got to come tonight, or
It's
you got to
true.
wait for 6 months or so.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's right, because you guys are working on some new music, a new album, full length,
Indeed.
EP.
No, not full
It's
length.
gonna be an EP.
It's gonna be
EP?
yeah.
Okay.
So we're thinking 3 to 4 songs right now.
Okay.
Honing down on which ones we're gonna choose, but
Yeah.
we'll be recording at the Blasting Room in Fort Collins. We just And then you have options of choosing who's going to mix your music. It can be whoever's in the studio. Chris Biebel will be in the studio with us, or you can have an outside person mix, and then you choose a producer, and finally someone to master the album. So we're still kind of narrowing down exactly who's going to do what, but we're excited.
Working out the details.
Does it have a name yet?
It does not have a name.
No.
No,
We actually don't even know what songs will make the final cut, and so I think we'll probably decide a name from that based on.
Because the idea there being that like we want to write, so the EP is going to be usually say 3 or 4 songs, and then by the time we're going in the studio, we want to have 5 or 6 like completed songs written, and so by doing that, we basically would just pick whichever ones we think one just I guess are the best, and then 2 are really going to like work together, with them being on the same record. And so so it's just good to go in and having options rather than just like these are the 3 songs we have written, so hopefully they're good enough.
You have some options when you're done through the process. That's a smart way to go about it, especially if you're paying a pretty penny for that time. You don't want to mess that process up.
It's true.
But since we're on the subject of recording, I did want to mention I've been checking out your music all week, and I've obviously been a fan of it prior to that, but I've really been listening to it this week, and I was impressed with your recording quality on Falling Apart. It's very, very good, and I don't know.
Oh, thanks.
Well, thank you.
So
Thank you.
We owe a lot to Colin Ingram. He helped record. He was the engineer that worked on that record with us and did a lot producing wise, and we recorded at Bridgeway Studios in Fort Collins, which was
most formerly known as Morningwood Studios.
It's true.
They chose a more PC name.
It's honestly though, like a pretty awesome studio for what we were able to do in there. Like it's a great atmosphere.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Really hot in there.
It
Wasn't
did.
it really hot? The guy who built that studio
Pretty
helped
Lights.
build it was the Pretty Lights guy. I forgot his name. But he helped build that studio. So
well, he's from Fort Collins.
he
correct?
is, yeah.
That's
So
pretty
he-
cool.
Yep, it was his studio.
Before he
for
took
a
off,
while.
he was like working there or helping or owning it. Who knows?
That's
One of
impressive.
those things.
You guys are connected.
Yeah.
Never met him. We shouldn't make it sound like we have. But
We stood where he stood 4 years
yeah.
before.
His sticker was
at
on the
least
door.
For
His sticker was on the
15
door.
years before.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, if it's any sign of the future, you'll be selling out Red Rocks soon.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Boy.
With techno music.
With
Yeah,
So-
we're actually going to pivot to a more techno model.
yeah,
Yeah.
post techno.
Not really.
Some reverb. Yeah, just kidding.
Electronic
Don't listen to that.
dance
Reverb post techno.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Post techno.
So, I found this interesting. Again, on Falling Apart, the song "Mountains." It was almost 7-minute song, which I find very impressive for most bands these days who seem to only be able to pump out like a 2-minute song.
That's
Man, you would like our music before they cut the songs down.
Yeah.
that's
Hell
funny
yeah.
actually.
It might
'cause-
seem impressive.
Yeah, we recorded that one as a single before the rest of the EP, and Colin Ingram, the guy who mixed it, gave us such a hard time. He was like, "You guys are putting out a 7-minute single, like, why
Hell yeah.
are you doing that?"
And here's the thing. I think it was longer.
It was
originally.
yeah, it was probably longer than that.
Had to
It's like
shorten it.
close to 9 minutes.
That's
I love it.
That's kind of a thing I
And
do.
we've actually shortened it more from the album version when we play it live now.
It's
Like,
Yeah,
too
it's
long.
too long.
I like long
But it's
songs.
great.
So do I.
I like
Yeah.
rock ballads, and I tend to write songs with way too many lyrics and way too many bridges and breakdowns.
And that's a testament to like how many lyrics he writes. Is he like forgets the lyrics because there's just too many.
Every show.
There's just-
Every show.
So what do you do when that happens?
I mumble.
or you just repeat a
I'm just
previous
kidding. I don't. It's not
verse.
true. I don't forget every show, but I
No,
do,
no,
I do
but-
forget at times.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm
I'm
sure it is.
spacey. I can't drink before a show, or I
Chris,
will lose all the lyrics.
we don't have to tell them
Oh,
No.
sorry. Never mind. It's not hard.
that.
No.
He remembers
Perfect
all
show.
the lyrics.
No.
That's exactly right.
Oh, it's
Wow.
show
But yeah, I
business,
tend to
man.
write songs long, and then the rest of the guys have to kind of rein me in and say, "Chris, this is way too long again."
I mean, that's something I really appreciate because when I get into a band,
He knows.
I do know. I mean, look at my record collection. I
Yes.
got the Grateful Dead right there. And it's like, they have like
Yeah.
20-minute songs, and I don't
Yeah.
get tired of them. I go
They're
back
great.
and I listen to
Yeah.
them over and over and over
That's
again
awesome.
because you can get lost in it. It's not just this short little sample of a song. It's something
Yeah.
that's deep and meaningful,
Right.
and it can actually take you somewhere. Which
Yeah, and that's where it's
I
coming
think-
from. I
yeah.
mean, we're not, it's not like we're just trying to write a really long song just throwing in extra stuff to make it cheap and make it long. But yeah, we really we get into the music and we really feel like what we're saying, we feel what we're playing, and sometimes it's important that we do rein it back in to realize like, oh, maybe someone doesn't want to listen to this for 7 minutes, but
Some people do.
some people do,
folks
and
might.
so
never
it's fun and also hard to find that balance.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think there's definitely a tension like between like writing a radio length song that's like easily palatable or like it's not too long, but then also like being real and honest and like writing. I mean, being folky, like a lot of Chris's lyrics center around storytelling, and sometimes a story can't be told in 3 minutes. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. So let me think here. I mean, you can storytelling, post-funk.
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 I love it. Post-funk. Oh, post-funk. My bad. Okay.
But with more reverb.
Look at me go. Look at me go here. No, it's like, what are some goals as a band that you foresee coming up? I mean, obviously putting out more music.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously have the show tonight at the Moxie Theater.
We're hoping for 2019 to be a good year. That's the goal. We've got our, you kind of like a business does. You write down things you want to accomplish in the new year, and we want this album to be our best album yet, and the goal is to make this one, also a hit on the radio as well, and so local stations to pick it up. We are a local Colorado band, and a lot of bands do mini tours well before we have 4 years in, but this will be our first tour. We're gonna try to go on tour after the EP release and do either a Midwest or South tour, and so we've got some plans and just sharing the good news of places back home to all the ears.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge step. I do want to ask, have you had any radio playtime?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Played a few times on 93.3,
Mhm.
94.3.
105.5, the Colorado Sound.
Colorado Sound,
CSU,
like-
the KCSU, 90.5 or something like that. I
Yeah,
think.
so
and then like public radio in Fort Collins,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
some of the smaller local stations too. But
Right.
yeah, 93.3 a few times was pretty cool.
It's really sweet. I mean, there's both in Fort Collins, in Denver, and just around. I mean, there's several stations that really they focus on supporting that local music, and they really do a great job of giving people playtime, which is really fun, and we really appreciate it. I know there's just so many other bands that are able to get that exposure and get on those stations, which is just it's pretty cool that they're able to do that for us, and it's a lot of fun.
I mean, when we look back, like, on where this band came from, like, I don't think any of us ever would have imagined, like, getting radio play or, like, being asked to play shows in Denver and around Colorado the way we have been. So it's been really cool to see all that unfold, I think, for us, for sure.
That's and I do want to get into what started this, what sparked this band.
I had a solo album that I recorded down in Nashville. I had a
Casanova.
buddy- Yeah, right.
Ladies.
I had a
I can
buddy
picture
who
it.
worked down in was going to school at Belmont University for audio engineering, and a buddy that was doing percussion, and so they invited me down to go record some music. They could get their portfolio, and so I jumped on it. It was a blast, and so came out with an album with a multi-instrumentalist album with only one set of hands, and so I was like, shoot, I want to play this. And so I initially Colin was a little bit later introduction to the band, so I introduced Bailey and Robert and brought them on, and we had a bassist named Justin, and then the band evolved from there.
And this was in Fort Collins?
This was in Fort Collins.
You were all attending CSU at the time?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were actually.
That's how we all met.
We were all babies.
Yeah.
We had
It
all
was
this
fun.
free
How old were
time.
you now? 23.
Yeah,
18.
23.
Still babies.
Still baby.
Yeah.
But we were like freshmen and sophomores. I think you guys
Yeah.
were sophomores and I was a freshman. No, it was you guys maybe were juniors and I was.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, they were
Something
juniors.
like that.
Yeah, we were.
I know because I was a super fan.
Yeah, he was. We used to make fun of him.
And then now he's in the
We,
band.
well,
so
we
it
made fun
like,
of him right when he joined the
totally
band.
I
worked
played the
out.
long game and it worked perfectly. That's all I'm saying.
Playing the long game.
We were like, we kept joking. Never mind. I don't want to. No,
Don't wanna
we
bash
kept-
Colin.
We kept joking before Colin joined because Colin was there from the beginning. Always
I was
coming
at the
to our
first
shows.
show.
And Colin, for those who know, Colin, he's our bass player, but he's actually an incredible guitar player. Probably the best in the band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so it happened where we needed a spot to fill, and Colin jumped on, and we kept making these jokes that Colin made his own places back home merchandise from scratch that he was going to bring to practices.
Yeah.
And as far as we know, he didn't. But
I didn't.
I mean,
I never did. I
here's
swear.
Here's the bottom line: is that Colin is like one of the most dependable dudes you'll ever meet, and that is
true that.
where all that came from.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
the man.
It's like he was just consistent. Like
He's the rock.
supported it, and we're like, hey, you probably support this man more than we support this man.
There was definitely times where that was
Can
true.
you help?
Yeah.
Way to go, Colin.
Hey,
Yeah.
thanks.
How do you feel about that?
It warms my heart.
Nothing you, Colin.
Oh.
Oh, you guys are so sweet.
Yeah.
So what? So you guys were going to CSU. Were you studying music? Like, was this even in the cards, or is this just?
Not a single one of
Oh,
us.
ask us what our majors were.
I will. What were your still majors?
Well, so he's still in Colin's still
I'm
in
the
school.
only one who's still in
He's
school.
about to graduate, but we got finance. Chris studied finance, and then Colin and I mechanical engineers.
I was
And-
also a mechanical engineer at the time. Not what I got my degree in. I got
Yeah.
my degree in organizational management, which is
Yeah.
different.
But-
So boring, all of it.
All of
Worst.
Which is
things.
why,
So bad.
which is really why we ended up like, I think in some ways why we ended up doing this band, because it was kind of like it was a release for us. It was
Yeah.
like a
Yeah,
way
totally.
to like, because our lives were spent a lot of time studying stuff that was sometimes not that interesting. or
Kids,
Yeah.
if you're listening,
Exciting.
don't do engineering or finance.
That's-
Run.
That's not true.
Yeah.
But I'll kind of just like tell
That's
like
a
a
joke.
30-second of my story, but I think this really applies to a lot of us. It's just that I mean, yeah, engineering, it was good, and I'm glad I studied and everything, but it definitely felt like, doing engineering, there's just a huge part of me, and just as of who I am, just a big creative side of me that really wasn't tapped into, going through school and everything, and I mean, I've been playing in bands and whatnot since middle school, but I didn't get that outlet, wasn't able to express myself, wasn't able to be creative and to create while I was going through engineering. And obviously that's just me. I mean, people do engineering. It's great. It's a great field. But
soul sucking.
yeah, I know. But yeah, I mean, this band was just everything that I needed. It's been incredible just be able to have that outlet, to be able to create something beautiful and something good with these guys, and it's really cool. It's not easy, but it's awesome.
It's a blast.
Yeah.
Creating something original too, that's like our own, like a piece of us into something that's not work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think that's huge for all of us. Like we love being able to create something original that can be honest and real, and it's unique.
Right.
Awesome. So how often do you guys practice? Is it like every day,
Yeah.
once a week?
Every day.
Right.
I wish we practice every day, but we
Consistently
don't have
once a
time for that.
week.
Yeah,
We have a
we've been
set
really
practice time.
consistent.
We live
kind
in
of
different
spread out
cities,
now.
so
Okay.
Yeah.
I make the drive to Fort Collins from
Yeah.
Denver.
Okay.
Chris in
week.
Denver.
You're the one.
Yeah.
Bailey's in Loveland, Collins in Fort Collins. I'm in Fort Collins, so I'm actually just about to move to Denver, like this weekend.
Really?
Yeah. So
Bold move.
yeah.
Bold move, Cotton.
Let's see
We'll
how
try
it works
to.
out for him.
But yeah, so we're a little spread out, but
Dodgeball jokes.
once a week, if we really have to get it done, twice a week. But yeah, that's what we're able to do right now.
At least
works.
as a group.
Right.
Yeah.
Just drop my pen. That's what that was. Nobody worries, just a pen. So yeah, I also want to ask this. What? I mean, we're talking about recording. You guys have your live show tonight. I know you guys do live shows all the time. What do you prefer? Do you prefer to record, be in the recording studio, go through that grind, or just get out there and play
Man,
music?
It's
That's
they're
tough.
That's
both.
a good question.
They're both so great. I mean, shows are what we live for. I mean, you don't become a performing band if you get all your joy from staying at home and writing music and not sharing it. We get our fulfillment from playing for people. That was my phone. From playing for people and for sharing what we have. And so it's so much fun. I mean, we've played. We've been band for 4 years, so you can imagine we've played some terrible shows. I mean, some really bad ones, and even those shows that had 2 people there are always amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
we do it because we love it. But
Also, if you're one of the 2 people at some of our shows,
thank you, and we
Thank you
love
for
it.
being there.
Do they happen to be sitting out there right now?
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes that's two of them.
entirely wrong.
Sometimes.
but yeah.
But at the same time, in the studio is just so special. I mean, you're in the studio for 4 days straight, 10-hour days, literally
It's
sweating
exhausting.
up the place.
Yeah.
You're tired, but you're doing what you love, and just, I mean, it's the most intentional music time you really get to have.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of pressure on it, which makes it really fun.
Yeah, and it's really intense. I mean, being in the studio, and I love it. Everything Chris said, is totally true for all of us. Playing live, amazing. Be able to like see the look on people's face and connect with people when you're playing, incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah.
The studio is funny because it's like it's really exciting because you get to hear all these layers like coming together, and then you also hear like new stuff, and you have it's like really wide open. I think like where you can like you get to be a little more creative because we're not playing together at the same time. Like we can, like I'm listening to like Robert drum and I can hear something that I'm like, oh, what if we like put this guitar part there or something like that, and we continue to build on stuff and improve in those moments. But then it's also like kind of sucks when you're like the only one playing and everybody's watching you and you're like, hey, you messed up on that one, that one part.
Start the whole 7-minute song over.
So
again.
a trick I found for those also having issues in the studio,
Yes.
making mistakes.
Classic.
It's a great tip.
The first time we were in the studio together, I was really messing up a part, and then, like I was getting really pissed, and it was taking significantly longer than it should have. So I took my pants off, and I played it perfectly the next time.
Yeah.
For some reason that worked.
So
Yeah,
I
it
take
worked.
my
And
pants
well, I'll clarify. The pants were definitely off, but they weren't like off. They were just at his ankles.
Yeah,
That's what you do.
That way you
seems-
can get them back up.
Yeah.
It's terribly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great.
What if you had to
can't
move your
guarantee
feet?
That works for everybody.
Yeah.
But give it a try.
If you're having issues,
If you're
this is a
absolutely
Chris tip.
desperate.
Try it.
Yeah.
Take your pants off.
When in doubt.
Give it a
It's also
Drop
the
the
most
pants.
unhealthy like couple days of your life when you're sitting on a couch.
eating.
We reinvest all the money we make into
Yeah.
the band for the next albums and the next merch, and so we're all doing really random jobs that are nothing related to music, and so
Or your field of study.
Well,
I'm a banker.
Yeah.
That's related
Chris
to
is
your
close.
field.
Yeah, but
Bailey's
kinda
kind of
sucks.
close
I'm
to
pretty
his field of
close.
study.
I work in marketing communications for a church.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
And I make doors.
Robert makes doors.
So I'm a big woodworker. Love it. And so I had a job in engineering, and it was not good. So I got a job just as a woodworker making doors, and it's awesome. And then now I'm actually, I don't know why I'm going into this, but I am. But now I'm
Kind of
actually,
a promotion.
I'm going down to Denver and working for a bigger door company. But this time as a
Garage door company.
yeah.
It's like 2
No, the
feet
company's
wide.
bigger, the doors aren't bigger. But anyway, yeah, I always have to actually. It's funny, I always have to clarify that actually. But anyway, I'm production supervisor there, which is really cool. So it's a promotion.
It's
But
definitely a
Normal
step up.
sized
Yeah.
doors.
yeah, normal sized doors for normal sized people.
Do you foresee this move to Denver opening another door to another opportunity?
Oh, man.
boy.
Yeah,
I should get that tattooed on my chest.
but
I think your next album should be called Opening Doors or something
Yeah,
like that.
love is an open door.
loves an open
Oh,
door.
there you go.
Frozen 2's coming out, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel
saw
about that.
I
Sneak
never
peek.
saw the first one. Sorry, guys.
You never
You
saw
should
the
see it. It's
first
good.
Me neither.
one?
Me neither. It's
Oh,
Tangled's
fine.
better.
Don't
Tangled's
freak out.
better.
Okay.
Don't freak out.
Tangled is better.
Thank you.
Whoever comes to our next show, we will do a Frozen cover.
What?
Oh,
No,
God.
you can't promise that, Chris.
We
I'm down though.
I would love to
Love's
see you
an
sing a
open
Frozen
door.
cover.
Which one of you is
That would
Elsa?
be
I'll
hilarious.
be Elsa.
Hell yeah, I'll be.
I'll be
Elsa.
Anna
Okay.
because she's a redhead.
I'll be the
That
snowman.
works.
'Cause
Actually,
he's a
no.
dork.
I'll be the caribou.
Whatever.
And I guess you're the evil witch. Is there an evil witch in there?
I don't know.
There's a
Yeah,
evil
Ice Queen.
dude. I don't want to
He's a
spoil it for you.
snowman.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's
I haven't
a-
actually watched Frozen, which I think is probably a cardinal sin. but-
Spoiler: everyone dies.
Yep. It's true. And the reincarnated.
Classic Disney. Classic Disney.
Wait, yeah. Well, if everyone dies, where's Frozen 2 coming from?
Completely new set of characters.
Winter
Just happens to be in
winter
the same
comes again.
area.
Winter comes again, yeah, in a completely different part of the country.
Mhm.
I think you're talking about Game of Thrones.
Everyone also dies. Speaking of, that's
Well,
also.
I'm-
We're- no, we're not
Back
speaking
Home
of.
Endorsed TV show.
We're not speaking of. We're
Yeah, sorry.
let's
back
move
on
on
track.
from.
I feel like keep going.
On from Frozen 2 to Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I'm
Same.
excited for that.
Yeah.
Made
Like
it.
that's worth
We made it all
watching.
the way there.
And onward.
And onward.
Yeah.
Are you gonna play a Game of Thrones cover
We
tonight?
should.
No.
Tonight.
Not tonight.
Not
We don't have.
tonight.
Oh man, that would be hard.
Sure would.
I've seen some really good covers of that though.
I've
Like
never
YouTube
seen
is a
Game of
gold
Thrones.
mine of
It's fine.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sure is.
Post folk Game of Thrones.
It's just
I can't imagine what that sound like.
literally just a banjo doing the.
Bring, bring, bring.
And then just with a really heavy
With lots of
reverb.
reverb.
Too much reverb. Oh my god. You guys are ridiculous. So let's bring it back to this whole show versus recording, or whatever. I'll run you. That's my job here as the host.
That's what we were talking about.
Yeah. See, that's why I'm here. I bring us back. What's I mean, obviously you talk about the recording, like you love that. It's its own animal. But what's been some of your favorite shows that you've ever played, and where have they been and why?
It's a great question.
I love the Moxie, honestly.
Yeah, the Moxie
That's
is
not
right.
just
is a great.
the
venue.
Moxie. We've played some sweet
Yeah.
shows at the Moxie and some real duds at the Moxie.
Yeah.
We love really.
But-
It's really surprised us. Like
Yeah.
we love playing the Moxie. Fun venue, great place to play. Great bands come through here, and like we're like I don't know, people are really digging us here, and not that like we're excited that they are, and it's not like well, why do they like us? But
We don't get it. We can't figure it out.
yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, it's been of all the shows that we or the different areas we play, Greeley's really consistently been really supportive, which is awesome.
We've had some. Our last EP release was a real blast. We
Yeah.
sold out pretty much. Was it Hody's?
Hody's
Yeah.
Half Note, Fort
I don't know
Collins.
that
We came
sold it
pretty
out, but
close.
We,
We haven't
packed
got
it.
close.
We packed it
It.
full of people. Like that's the fullest I've seen it at
Yeah.
a show there, to be
Yeah.
honest. And
That was
that's
fun.
pretty cool. I've been to a lot of gigs.
And we love playing. We've played a couple times there. Larimer Lounge in
Mhm.
Denver.
Larimer
It's
Lounge
just
That's
is
fun.
good to
it's
us.
just got a great atmosphere. It's
Yeah, it
so
does.
fun to play.
I honestly think that I love the Moxie so much because of Reed.
Yeah, Reed.
Reed is like the
So for
best
those that
sound
don't
guy.
know,
if you're
he's the sound
listening.
guy.
Yeah, Reed is the sound
Reed
guy.
Hampton is just
He's incredible.
amazing.
He's a doll and
you
a
see him
half.
just
Great
go,
dude, great sound guy.
Reed.
Like he makes that the experience of being a band and performing at the Moxie like
Yeah,
So
I think he's our
nice.
favorite sound guy ever.
Yeah.
Really.
truly.
And I
He
mean,
rocks.
Eli is just
Eli's a great guy.
yeah.
I mean,
Can't
from
say enough about
from a I guess I'm a listener. What do I call myself? A fan's perspective. Sorry about that. Just made a little scratch in our headphones. From a fan's perspective, the Moxie is for me one of my top. I want to say top 5, but it could be top 3 venues, and that includes Red Rocks,
Wow.
and that includes
Wow.
like the Fillmore and the Mishawaka. Like, I love the Moxie.
You know what it
It's
is
a good
about the
venue.
Moxie is the layout of the. So
Yep.
It's
first
so
of all,
weird, but so
it's-
good.
like for a small town, Greeley is a huge supporter of the arts, which is awesome. And so, and like surprisingly large bands come through. Like
Yeah.
they sometimes even like skip Denver, which is awesome. But what makes I think the Moxie so great is that it's a shallow venue that's very wide.
It's very intimate.
It's very intimate.
Yeah. So
So
everyone, if you're on the
stage,
floor, you're close.
Yeah, the stage is super low. It's like knee high.
Right.
Yeah.
You can get right up there.
And even if you're
Give
like,
Bailey a kiss. I've
And
done
it's
that before.
good.
loud in there.
Anyone listening, you could give Bailey a kiss.
yeah, but my wife might murder you.
Yeah, she would
Uh-oh.
too. She'd
She would.
jump you for sure.
I've seen
Dun,
it.
dun.
Love you.
Emily's a hoss.
Congrats on that, by the way.
Thank you.
Getting married.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both
Chris and
these
I both
jokers.
got married. It's
Yeah, we
pretty
did.
crazy.
Around the same time?
Engaged. Like
Yeah,
we're
pretty
all-
much.
We're
Jeez.
all growed up.
Yeah.
Colin, where
Marriage
you
is
at?
fun.
Colin's got a
Where you
lady.
at, Colin? You
Yeah,
got-
I got
oh.
a lady back.
Lady babe.
She might be watching.
Shout out to Grace.
She might
Simpson.
be in
Shout out.
Ohio.
Hey.
She's in Ohio right
Lady
now.
Ohio.
Going to school. She's smarter than me.
Sounds
so it's
super
fine.
excited.
I love
going to
Ohio.
school.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, the Moxie Love, it's there. Again, for me, the setup is strange. Like, the bar is off in a separate area from, like, the main stage
Which I
area.
actually like.
I do,
Mhm.
too. I do, too. Because if you want to go talk, you can still kind of hear the music.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be
Totally.
bothering the band or whatever. If you want to go see the band, you can get right up close. Or they have, and I don't know if I like this or not, but they have the table section, which
Yeah.
I like the different levels because you could stand up there and see over everyone's head.
Yeah.
I like the table section because then most people don't use the tables.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah.
the people that are here to see the music. are
Yeah.
gonna
But there's a
stand.
spot for everyone.
Yeah, right.
If you want to
Exactly.
sit, if you're like, like if you're there supporting your son, like or something like that, like
I was gonna
you-
call
You
that
don't
parent
think
section
they're real
too.
good.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, like you go
wanna be
sit.
there anyway.
you go sit with your friends and have a
Yeah,
drink,
for
or
sure.
if you want to like enjoy the music but you want to talk with some friends, you go to the bar, or if you want to
Get rowdy.
get rowdy, you're on the floor and you're right there in front of the. My favorite spot is actually that like loft area,
Yeah,
like
it's
this.
super cool.
I love
It's a
it.
secret. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah, it is secret.
I do like.
up
I
there.
do like
Oh, I
sneaking up
forgot
there.
What?
where the other band.
What's the venue in Denver that has the pizza joint that's connected to it?
Marquee.
The
Marquee,
So
yeah.
that goes kind of like relating to like how you can go to such a good show and then the venue can ruin it. I saw This Will Destroy You at the Marquee, which is one of my favorite bands,
Mm.
and just they create like beautiful soundscapes, no words. There's like the stage is barely ever lit. The dude's in his PJs like just playing tasty bass licks and like the guitarists are like sitting down in chairs. Like it's not a normal show. It's very low energy and just amazing sound. And like there's a live pizza shop going on, and so you're trying to listen to this like incredible music part that like dies down to nothing, and it's just like all this noise in the background. Like, I'll have 2 cheese pizzas, please. It's
like a-
ah.
Like a mile-long line of pizza out
So
the front door.
annoying, yeah. So I think the Moxie does it perfect.
I saw a pop punk show at the Marquee and having a pizza attached.
That's
probably-
that's
Yeah.
the right show.
That's
Yeah,
the
that's the
Marquee's
right show.
wheelhouse.
Fitting. It was fitting.
That is.
I
fitting.
definitely ate a piece of pizza.
A pizza.
pizza.
Little Caesar.
Yeah.
It's definitely better than Little
I
Caesar's
don't even
pizza.
remember who I saw there at this point. I just remember eating pizza.
I know so.
Well, shout out to
I've been
those
too
guys.
many. I've just been to too many shows at this point. They kind of all blend together sometimes.
I also like the
Especially when you
Bluebird.
play them constantly.
Bluebird's cool.
Bluebird's one of my
Is-
favorite
that's a
venues of
really-
all time.
That one also for like a big Denver venue
So
is
intimate.
so intimate.
Yeah.
for
Unreal.
sure.
So you guys were talking about possibly going on tour after this next EP is released.
Yep.
Again, we don't know. We don't have a date. We just know
Yeah,
it's
we
coming.
We don't have any.
We know.
details.
We'd like to.
They would like to
That's
tour,
about as far as we
and then
got.
you're saying kind of
We've
yeah.
talked about
Midwest
We've
kinda-
talked about some areas going up
Yeah.
to Chicago possibly and coming
Okay.
back. I'm
Chicago.
from Chicago. So
Okay, I
it's
was gonna
kinda
say,
easy.
any
It's-
reason in particular?
Yeah,
But
I'm
yeah.
from there, and
Okay.
we have connections up there for venues and shows, and or maybe New Mexico is a really nice venue for area for music. Actually, Albuquerque's a pretty good
Yeah.
hub, and so we thought about maybe kind of doing like a little southern tour and heading
Southern.
down south.
Yeah, that's not southern.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm from North
South.
Carolina.
Okay.
Which, to all those people listening out there, just because North is in the name doesn't mean it's not in the South.
Still the South. It's the deep South.
Got it.
He's very proud about that.
Yeah.
Should
don't
be.
don't
should
cross
be.
him about that because he will destroy you.
Yeah, good man.
No, I won't. I'll just tell you you're wrong, and
He'll
then we'll be
tickle you
done.
until you cry.
I will do
You
that.
will
We're
cry.
painting a weird picture about our hangouts.
Yeah.
Tickles and
It's true, though.
Hey, when you
We're strange.
When you write music, you let people into the parts of you that you don't show to anyone else.
Wow.
Really?
That just got better. It just got so much better.
And that's all we have to say about that.
Wow.
Just
metaphorically.
Next question, please.
Next question. You're not
next.
Oh my goodness.
Just kidding, but
Let me see.
You should see us when we're like, not
Just
well behaved.
goofing around. We
So
don't
it's-
have to get into that.
No, that's all right. I'm gonna check the time here. I think we're probably getting close. Oh, no, we got plenty of time.
Plenty
Got
of time.
Put that away. Let's just go here. And I just turned our headphones off. I don't know who's sharing headphones with me.
I think
Not
Can
me.
anyone? Was it just me? Oh, was it you? Okay. Now we're back. Are you back?
we're
Sorry
good.
about that.
I'm back.
It said on your guys' website that you feel a deep responsibility to love the earth and thy neighbor and
Oh, yeah.
stuff like
Yeah.
that.
No,
Actually, that was me.
no, it didn't say. Well, it didn't say the Earth
It did-
specifically, but
Our community.
It didn't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
People-
the
community.
world around
Yeah.
us. I
That
think
is
what it
super
says.
true.
Yeah, that might be it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what?
Did we write that?
How does
I'm
that-
just kidding.
Yeah, no, we did.
It's a very well written
I
bio.
wrote that, and I
Yeah.
remember where I was sitting when
It's
I wrote that.
super true. We think that a huge part of why we're supposed to be playing music and why we're supposed to be here is kind of being there for people. We think music is an incredible way to connect people that normally wouldn't spend time together. I mean, all across the spectrum, and we think that's really important to help facilitate that and just love on people.
And music also
And each
just
other.
is like can be very cathartic for people. It can be like a serious like way that people like come to terms and like wrestle with the things going on in their own
Right.
minds and their hearts. And I mean that's partially what we do with music too. We wrestle with our own things, and we express our own like feelings and emotions and all that comes with that. And so I think that we want to use music to connect with
Yeah.
people, to like help them experience life in a different way.
And we kind of tackle some like intense topics. We talk a lot about like relationships and faith and all kinds of stuff that people struggle with. And I don't think the point of our songs are to have people see things our way. It's really just to create a space where people can, they can be okay with being challenged, and they can be okay with, not being okay for those who are struggling. And
Yeah. I mean, music gives voice to things that otherwise, like feelings and struggles and everything that otherwise you might not be putting out there. But if, I there's one time I heard someone say like a good musician tells you, like sings about and tells you how they feel. A great musician sings about and tells you how you feel. And just that, like, whatever's going on in here inside, a lot of times it's ugly and it's messy, and we don't want people to see that. But when you're standing in a room watching a band play, that's singing about what you're feeling, and everyone there with you, or a bunch of people there with you, are feeling that same way, like you're no longer alone. Or if you're listening to the song on the radio or like on your phone or whatever, all of a sudden, if you're listening to it, sitting there on Napster weeping into your phone.
There's some dark people on Napster.
But yeah, it
They need
just
the most.
it provides it provides a vessel in which whatever messiness is in here can get out, and then once it's out, that's when it can be handled. That's when it can be dealt with. That's when you can be like vulnerable and loved on from there. So it's a cool thing.
That's very true. And it's a very real thing
Yeah.
that I think people experience, and that's why people, seek music out, and that's why they like music so much, is to feel a connection to something bigger than them. And I mean, I certainly feel that. I mean, a lot of the bands I follow, it feels like its own community of like-minded people you
Yeah.
can just go and be comfortable with, and again, know that everyone's kind of on that same page.
Yeah.
I think that's super important.
And we try to
Yeah.
make that very apparent. I mean, I don't know if we're doing it tonight, but a lot of our shows, we literally just have like a Polaroid camera sitting there, and like if you stop by our booth, we want to take a picture of you or with you, and we usually have our booth covered in photos, and it's just like another way to kind of let people know that like, hey, we're a family.
Something
Music
that's, like,
is connecting.
something very personal for us too. Like when people dig what we do, like that means stuff to us, and so we want to like capture that for ourselves and whatnot as well. I think.
Yeah.
I guess this kind of plays in this question. Who do you think your audience is? Like, who are you trying to
Mostly
reach? And
Napster
just
Literally everybody on Napster.
Yeah, all of
If you
them.
listen to Napster,
Every-
your audience.
I have a
100
good
of
reason
them.
for why I listen to Napster. just so we're all aware.
the playlist
Story
thing
for
still.
another time.
No, it's
That's
See,
podcast
you
number
already
3.
missed your chance to
Yeah.
defend.
Yeah, I
yeah.
know.
No, this is a good question. Let's answer it.
It's gone.
Sorry.
Come to the Moxie and I'll tell you.
Yeah.
We'll go back into the Napster thing next time you invite us on your
Okay,
Yeah,
absolutely.
right, sure.
Absolutely.
extended story.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's the
Add-
reason I
yeah.
listen on Napster.
All right.
Who's
so
our
Who's our
audience?
audience? Yeah.
I don't know.
Man.
I mean, I think it's pretty like eclectic. Like there's a lot of. I mean, for a long time it was like our moms,
Yeah.
So true.
That's a real thing.
which
Yeah.
is like that. I think that's kind of how bands start. You know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Friends and family.
Yeah. I get.
Junior high, my
yeah.
grandparents and parents came to hear me play guitar. Number one fan.
Super cool.
I think what I would say, and hopefully this doesn't sound as like a cop out, but like our audience could be anyone that's feeling something, which is like, duh.
If you're a robot, you're
But
literally not invited.
Yeah,
to our
no
shows.
robots. Sorry, robots.
That's on par with all the Super Bowl commercials. Did you
Yeah.
notice all the robots?
That was so weird,
lot
dude.
of robots.
Apparently, they think that AI is like on everyone's mind.
I know. I was gonna
Like,
say.
Nothing weird. Just music.
We're bad at this.
We're terrible. This is
This is a blast.
I don't know. I think we're doing great.
I hope you guys are having fun.
Yeah, I'm having
like,
fun.
Yeah.
the amount of moments that people have probably like cringed a little bit when we're talking.
This is why I just at shows I'm not good at talking either because we get so emotionally invested in the music and it's like it's a lot of heavy emotions and
It's weird to pull yourself out of that.
I
Be like, "Hey."
try and every time I say something it's just like, so are you guys having fun out there?
This is
Say it with a
really
tear in your eye.
random but sort of related. There's a band I grew up listening to that I've always loved. I was a hardcore kid, so I love The Devil Wears Prada.
Oh
But I was watching a video. I came across it. It was from like 2006 at the Cornerstone Festival, and it was like the best like talking in between sets like songs that I've ever heard. They literally he goes, I don't want to say this, but I gotta. We're the Devil Wears Prada, and then that was all he said the entire show. Yeah, it was so good. And then they just like went straight into a song, and it was like the best thing ever.
That's awesome.
That's
Maybe we
awesome.
should do more.
I know.
rhyme
Maybe we should just
related
like
talk.
Actually,
maybe
it's
we
funny
should
even
not talk.
on that note. One of my like favorite moments of that was that kind of a thing was Chris and I were at a Manchester Orchestra show, and like they start the set and they're like you just go from one song to the next.
They don't talk.
They don't really talk, and then like 3 or 4 songs in, he comes up to the mic and I think he said something like hey, we're Manchester Orchestra, thanks for coming out here. Like that was pretty much it. And then he was like, all right, I'll talk to you in 7 songs, and then just
It was great.
yeah, and he just straight up said that, and then they just went back and played 7 more songs before he even said
So
anything.
now we don't talk much.
Yep.
My wife is a good critic, and she one time after show was just like,
She
You're
can't
not?
stand when Chris talks. She's just like,
she's
shut
like,
up.
it was just kind of awkward, not good.
Yeah, she doesn't like when Chris talks just in general.
Yeah, I don't talk at home. Not allowed
That's
to.
painting like a really
Yeah, no, she's wonderful, but she's a great critic, and
Yeah.
I meant that as good feedback.
Yeah.
No, it
Thank
is.
you, Caroline.
Honest,
Yeah.
honest
It is
feedback.
good,
Yes.
honest feedback.
Yeah,
Because I mean, honestly every show we're still figuring this thing out. Like we've been doing it for a
that's
while.
life.
Every podcast, we're
trying
figuring
to-
this out, and this is our first.
Is this the first one?
Yeah.
We've done
Yes.
a couple like radio interviews.
No
but
podcasts.
Nothing.
no podcast.
No straight to web, but I like it better.
I think
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
It's
too.
much better. It's freer.
It's freer.
There's
Freer.
There's no time
we can
constraints.
cuss on
There's-
air.
we can fucking cuss on here.
Yeah.
There's no-
Nobody is censoring.
There's no commercials.
There's no
Except,
mute button
uh,
on me.
If we were
Except-
censoring anything, though, I think it'd be best if we censored every time we say the word tickle.
I was just about to say that. You said the word tickle far too many times.
It's one of the pillars of our band.
No, it's not.
Wherever inspiration strikes, guys. I'm
Yeah.
not here to judge. No one is judging you. It's okay.
Is that not in our bio? We bring
We like
tickles
to
to
tickle.
tickles to everyone.
Tickle fight.
Literally,
We tickle.
I've never been tickled by any of them.
Yes, you
It's
have.
exaggeration.
I wanna say
I can
for the
neither
record,
confirm nor deny.
The tickling.
I'm the tickle monster.
Is that if we were tickled, that would have been.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
Oh, fun.
Man, oh man. Good stuff.
So I've noticed like a nautical theme running through.
Oh,
Yes.
just
Why?
waiting for that to come
Yeah.
What is that one?
Oh
What's
yeah.
that
so
about?
I have very little seafaring experience. I know nothing about
you
the
did go
sea.
deep sea fishing one time.
Yeah, I did.
though.
And
Robert's probably the closest thing to
And
the
I
ocean
know,
that we
Yeah.
and I
have.
know the bow and the port, and I love nautical imagery. So I write a lot of my songs, and even the music without words. I write it off of images, kind of in my head of what I want. I kind of write from like a soundscape, and so I kind of picture an image, and I say what I want music to fit what I'm picturing in my
What
head.
would this feel like?
Yeah, and
What
I
would this sound
love
like?
nautical imagery, and that started actually from one of my favorite songs and slash bands is it's called Wooden Heart by Listener, and it's
Yeah.
like a spoken word hip hop album. It's nuts.
Spoken word.
Yeah, it's like poetry. It's unbelievable, and he's all about it. And it's I like that song because, in my opinion, as from a lyricist, it's by far the best written song I've ever listened to.
Hmm.
That's just my opinion.
Wow.
You don't have to take it to the bank, but and so that kind of has inspired a lot of our music, and kind of we talk a lot about the journey of life and the journey of like self growth, and just trying to find like our album, like our name suggests, like try to find this place in our past and in our future that we relate to, places back home, and so a lot of that I use imagery of us going on this big adventure, this big sea voyage, this big trek, whatever it might be, but that's kind of what I picture.
Yeah.
For me personally, I can connect with that. I don't know. I too have some fantasy of just like going out on a boat and just sailing.
Yeah.
Maybe that
It's
just comes from being in a landlocked state.
I probably would die.
Colorado
'Cause-
born.
Yeah,
like,
'cause
gotta
I
get
don't
to the
have
sea.
those same.
Closest thing we have is Lake Loveland.
I know.
I am scared of sharks though,
And
so
the Pooter River.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's no
the
sharks
ocean's
there.
pretty incredible.
You do not have to worry about sharks in either of those
In the ocean
bodies
you
of
do.
water.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Well, do you guys remember? I don't know if you guys remember. You might have been too young, but they said they found an alligator in like a
Oh my gosh, there's this pond. Yes.
in the ponds
No
in
way.
Loveland.
There's
Someone
a
must have
pond-
released
a
it.
pond
like a
in
croc-
Loveland.
yeah.
I put it there.
Jayhawker ponds.
Yeah,
what
that's
they're
right.
called.
That's right.
And they found for a while they were like, it's some creature.
Yeah,
And,
they were
like,
trying to
was,
make
like,
it.
People had seen glimpses of it. Well, it turns out someone had a pet alligator and let it go in this pond.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And it was a big deal.
It was
That
all in the
like
newspaper.
Good
like
luck,
weeks.
Leroy. I'll
Is it
check in
as
on
a
you every
big
couple
deal-
months.
Is it as big deal as when the guy recently beat a mountain lion to death?
Oh,
No, he
yeah,
didn't. He choked it.
That's
Choked
out.
Choked it out.
Choked it.
With a knee?
With his foot.
That was like
Foot.
national
Unbelievable.
news. Like,
That
some
is so
dude.
sick.
Yeah.
I don't even think the guy was ever named in the whole.
No,
he
he
just
was-
got
Oh, he
named
was?
yesterday.
He just
What's
came
his
out.
name?
He was like,
Yeah,
I'm
it
the
was-
guy.
Well, we're gonna write a song
Like-
about that. 'Cause
We
that's
probably
incredible.
should
That
actually.
is
Definitely.
the most metal thing I've ever heard.
To all the
in
other
my entire
bands out there, we call dibs on that story. Just kidding. You do what you want.
No, they
It's our
can't. It's already
hometown,
taken.
and We're gonna write about it.
Started here first. Yeah, and that's right in our backyard.
Yeah,
Fort
it's
Collins.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy.
It's kind of weird. There's like two sides to this. Like people either love that he did it, like he's a badass, or they're like, how could you do that? I think it's kind of
What?
funny.
Badass.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
dude,
I'm against
I'm-
hunting a mountain lion, but if you're gonna die,
If I'm being attacked
Yeah, if
by
I-
it, I
Yeah.
will fight back.
Like
Fight or
you
flight.
can't get more like evolutionary, like natural selection than that. You
you
know.
can't run from a mountain lion.
No.
It's
No.
going to take you down.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Right.
take you down.
It's just impressive.
so
Yeah.
hard.
Nothing else really.
Fortunately, it wasn't a full-grown one.
Cats are quick.
It was
Yeah,
a-
he
it
would've
was a
died if it
teenager.
was a full-grown one.
For
That's
sure.
a
Those things are
kitty cat.
Scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten in a fight with my girlfriend's cat, and I almost died.
That's
House cats are
Yeah.
scrappy.
They are
Emily
nasty.
and I
Good
have a
grief.
cat at home, and she's wild. She growls she's a wild.
Like a
animal.
Do
mountain
you think,
lion.
based on your experience, you'd
She
be
might
able
be
to
feral,
take
I
a
don't
mountain
know.
lion now that you know how to fight similar cats?
No, definitely not.
Different
not
sizes,
even, no, not
but
even
similar.
attempt. I would probably try to run away and be eaten, because I don't even know where to even go. I
Yeah.
maybe could punch, but
I maybe could punch.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I'm not a
It'd
fighter,
be so hard.
I don't.
I'm very against hunting mountain lions,
Well, yeah, that's not.
and
cool.
I
But-
think hunting predator animals is messed up. But if it's
Well,
if you
if
didn't
it's
like
it or you,
if you're not like a hunter in its space and then it comes after you, but if you're just walking and it tries to attack you, I'm
It's go
gonna
time.
try
Yeah.
to step on its throat and survive.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't blame the guy. I
feel
think
like
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Even like, and on that note, like even attempting to take on a mountain lion in that situation, your chances are pretty slim. Like,
Yeah, good for
You
you,
don't have.
guy.
Yeah, you didn't have any other choice.
I
like
would have
that
just
or die.
died. I would have just rolled
Just
over and
rolled
said,
over
"Do
and
it.
play dead.
Just finish me."
Is that what
Do
they say
it.
to do? Bears, you're supposed to get
Bears,
like,
you
as
play
big as
dead. I
possible.
think mountain
No.
lions
Then
just
play
eat
dead.
your.
I don't
nuts.
think playing dead's really just a great option. It's something which trying to eat you.
They're like, oh sweet. I don't
Although
have to work
usually they're
this
not
hard."
like. Usually they're not trying to like take you down because they want food. They're trying to like get you out of
Just
this.
'cause
Right
you're
there,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. I think you're supposed to get bigger with the. But if it like attacks you from behind, what are you like gonna do?
What do you
Like,
do?
it's latches
What
onto
do you
your
do
neck?
if you're getting attacked by
RKO.
a fish in the
RKO.
ocean or a shark? Do you play dead?
You punch
you
it in the
punch it in the
nose.
Nose. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or in
that's
the
right.
eye.
They're
Could
very
you imagine
sensitive.
playing dead in the ocean?
You'd just be dead.
That's not
called
playing.
being
Where did we start here?
I don't know.
About
Nautical
ocean
things.
imagery.
Yeah.
Some nautical
Right,
themes.
we're talking about oceans.
And then we went to predators.
Yeah. We talked about the guy who with the
That's right. That's right.
Anyways.
Being from northern Colorado, like what sort of challenges have you guys seen as a band, like trying to make it more or less? Like what's
Well, it's
Colin?
it's not Denver, first of all.
Okay.
That's
so is that a plus or does that make it more
That's-
difficult?
It
you
makes
think?
it. I think it makes it. My opinion is it makes it more difficult.
That's
just
right.
because
For sure.
The Fort
Yeah.
Collins music scene is growing, and or like it's changing, and they're
growing.
they're making some big moves, which is actually really cool.
But it's very tight knit,
Yep.
Yeah.
and
It's
it-
like you're either in or you're out.
it's a
kinda
really
thing.
weird political game, in my opinion. That's
Mhm.
probably an unpopular opinion, but
I
Can be at times.
I can imagine that being
And
true.
In some ways, it's just like if you're liked by the right people,
Yeah.
or like you know the right
which
people.
goes for down here too.
Yeah,
actually.
I mean that's
Yeah.
anywhere you
Denver.
go. There's just more options in Denver.
Yeah,
A
there's a
less
bigger
like
market.
a national
More
act,
connections to be
but,
made.
Yeah,
I think too, like Colorado in general, like even being if we were based in Denver or from Denver, like it's not exactly a music like hub by
Yeah.
any means.
Yeah, I mean it's
as,
not
as far as,
Nashville
like,
or LA.
but it's
or-
on its way.
Although,
recognized.
yeah,
And the
actually, yeah,
internet
Denver
makes
really
it a
is.
lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting there. for
Yeah.
sure.
Lumineers,
But it's not
free
like
rides.
LA or Nashville or
Yeah, right.
New York. Like it's, I mean,
But
it's
in
Denver.
I think that we also kind of like that because while there's challenges to standing out, it actually offers a lot more room to be original and be heard.
Mhm.
Versus in Nashville, to those who haven't been there, I mean, there's a band playing in every bar.
Yep.
On like I'm not even every street corner, but like 5 per street, and
It's
and
everybody's
and,
trying
like,
to make
you
it.
can't.
So it's
It's really hard to be
Like
heard.
really good bands.
Yeah,
Right.
really
Yeah.
good.
And they're all,
bands.
yeah. I mean,
They're
yeah.
all
My
amazing.
time in Nashville, it's crazy. Like you're walking, what he said. You're walking down the street, every bar, every restaurant you pass, there's a band playing, and they're probably all better than you. Like
Yeah.
they're very, very good musicians.
Yes.
But it can easily kind of force you into a mold that of like what because people want to hear what they want to hear, and so if you're in a band in Nashville or LA or something trying to make it, and what you're doing is really good music, but it's not what people want to listen to, and the
Right.
gigs you can get, well then you're kind of forced to play what people are going to want to listen to
And we
pay
might
for.
be bad business people, but we've always said so. We're not going to give in to the trends of music. We're going to play
Thank you.
the way that we want to play. Yeah.
As a
you're
fan,
welcome.
thank you.
And we're not going to go electronic drums and pop here to sell more albums. And
No.
I think it's a good point.
Say that
though.
now.
It's a good point though that was made that it is like it does make it. I don't want to say easier, but you have a better chance of like being heard because it's not Nashville. It's not like.
Thanks to the internet.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say like at this point with the internet, like it doesn't matter where you're from.
You could be a
almost. Like, if you're doing
Kid in a basement in Nebraska.
If you're
SoundCloud
good at like
rapper.
internet
Or on a rooftop
marketing
in Greeley.
and you know what
Yeah.
you're doing, like you can build a following without ever leaving your basement. Like you don't even
Literally.
in some ways, yeah, you don't even have to play shows anymore to like gain a following, and then. But I mean, that's not us.
Yeah.
No. So
We
to
like
our
playing
listeners,
shows.
we promise we're going to keep it coming the way you guys like it. And if you don't like it, we are really sorry and we love you.
Give
I
it
would-
another
I would just
listen.
tell 'em to
electronic
get
drum
out.
pop.
Try as hard as you can.
If you don't
No.
like it, then we'll do whatever you want to make you. Just kidding.
And I want to make another point on that, like not going with the trends. As a fan, again, I just truly appreciate like authenticity and uniqueness and originality when it comes to musical talent and writing. There's just nothing more depressing than just turning on the radio and hearing every song sound
the same.
almost exactly the same,
Yeah.
and it has the same elements, and it has the same.
with like 20,
Same
20
form.
producers.
Yeah, and it has like the
Yeah.
snap and the whistle now. It's like Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
make it stop. And it's just like, even if I don't like your music necessarily, I will absolutely 100% appreciate it and support you for making it original and your own, and not following
Yeah,
through.
Yeah.
we're in it for music.
appreciate
for music,
that.
not for the corporation of music.
Yeah. And it's funny, actually, I'm surprised it actually hasn't come up yet, but it's almost at this point, it's almost like an inside joke in the band. But like, just, the two words that we always like kind of try and write our music by and live by, like raw and honest with like our music. And like, it's so, it's funny because especially when we like, when we started the band, we said that all the time. Like, we really want our music to be like raw and honest kind of thing.
Well, I
but
think that's even where our name came from.
Yeah,
Like, that was kind of some
absolutely.
of the words that were thrown around when we were deciding what we were going to be called.
yeah,
It's a very unique name too, and it stands out. That is
we like
raw
our
and
name.
honest. Yeah.
Shout out to
Luke Draper.
Luke
If you're
Draper,
listening.
the legend.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah.
That's another story for another time
That
too.
is right.
Next time, places back home, rooftop sessions.
That's right. You
two.
gotta keep listening.
And next time,
to
and next
Rooftop
time,
sessions.
You'll bring your acoustic instruments, and we'll do
Yeah,
a
we'll
little
yeah,
acoustic
play
set.
some, we'll play some
definitely.
music.
Yeah, man.
Maybe some
Point
whistling and
ahead,
snapping.
If you do that,
Maybe
If you
some
do that,
electric drum.
you'll be kicked out. You'll be kicked out
Oh, you will?
if you whistle and snap you.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
dang it.
No whistling on the show.
Okay, fine.
Hey, that's a
Stop it.
Napster thing.
Don't
We
you
don't
dare
do
snap.
that.
That's a nasty thing.
All right, guys. I know you have to get going here. You have a show to
Got a
do
show to
tonight.
play.
You have a
Sure
show.
do.
The
Yeah.
Moxie Theater
Loaded
tonight,
soon.
right now.
Indeed.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock,
Be
doors
there.
open.
Doors open
Yeah,
at
but
8
it
o'clock.
is
You guys are playing with Wilderness.
Yeah.
We are.
Take a
And
quick
Rob
second to
Trapkin.
talk about them. They're awesome.
Yep, they're
Yeah,
great.
they're
Rob
killing it.
Trapkin, also fantastic.
We're big fans
Yeah.
of them.
You want to talk
It's-
about a Denver band that's like
Slaying the
kicking ass,
game.
Yeah. It's,
Wilderness.
It's Wilderness.
Yeah.
Which they were Red Fox Run before that, which also was one of my
Kinda,
favorite
sorta.
bands.
Yeah.
that
Three of
was-
them, three of the
kinda,
four of
sorta.
them were
Yeah.
Red Fox Run, and they were awesome. And so now they're just even better.
Now
Just
they're-
killing the
now they're
game.
just Wilderness and they rock.
They
Yeah.
did they did a single and a video recently, and that
Mhm.
video is incredible.
And I think they're doing a
Mhm.
national
Good.
or
Yeah,
semi-national
they're doing
tour
it.
out
Is it?
west.
Are they? Is
Starting
it?
next week.
Is it with someone or
Yes.
is it them?
Yeah.
I
don't
can't
know
remember
it's
who
with.
they're touring with. But
Sorry, Wilderness.
That's
We don't
okay.
know.
I'm
Coming
sure
up. I
they'll
think
say
they play-
tonight.
tried to
Yeah.
They
kick
will
it off
definitely
in-
say it tonight.
They
Yeah.
kick it off in Denver next week, right?
Yep.
Again?
Yeah.
Anyways,
Take
come
off
to
in
our
Denver.
show tonight if you're listening. We'd love to have you guys and hang out. And hope you like our music.
Take some Polaroids, maybe.
Yeah. Grace, if you're listening, just get
Shake
out
it
here
like
from
a-
Ohio and come to the
Just
show
catch
tonight.
a plane real quick. We'll be here.
Yeah.
Lady, Ohio.
There's an airport in Greeley.
There is. I saw it driving in.
What?
Can't fly there from Columbus, probably, but
Oh,
Well,
hey,
they might have to make a couple stops,
yeah.
like Nebraska
If
or
you
something.
like charter a plane, you can.
It's only a
It's cheap.
$5
I need to get to
stop.
Denver in an hour.
All right, guys. Let's do it. Places back home.
So,
Catch them tonight. Moxie Theater, downtown Greeley. Doors open at 8 p.m.
Indeed.
I'm going to be there. They're going to be there. Wilderness is going to be there. And beer is going to be there as well. I can't wait to drink some more beer.
Indeed.
I love
There will be
beer.
more.
Yeah, guys. Thank you so
Beer.
much for having
Yeah,
us on your
thank
show.
you.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Yes.
Thanks for asking.
Thanks for taking the time. I mean, it's a lot of effort, and it's just I appreciate you guys for making the time.
Yeah.
This
Glad
is-
you're doing this. This
yeah,
is cool.
thank you.
Yeah, keep it going.
Absolutely.
All right.
Places back home 2 coming up in months.
In a long time.
In
Coming up sometime.
All right, guys. Thank you again. I am Cole Peterson for the Rooftop Sessions. We'll catch you on the flip.
Bye.
Adios.
Toodles.